minister who's lost control of spending, debt, and inflation. Workers are now forced to fight to make up lost wages. That's why last year, Canada had more strikes than any year since 1981. That is, since the last Trudeau was breaking the country and its economy. Now, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are suffering because they can't get their donations to charities, small businesses can't get their payments, and the economy is losing millions. Will he sit down the two sides, get a deal, and put an end to this dreadful strike?
There you go, man. Come on. This is like going on too long.
Conservative Party, whose attacks on unions are well documented from 575 and 377, their anti-union bills that the Leader of the Opposition voted for, from continually choosing to use back-to-work legislation as they did time and time again. We believe that the best deals happen at the bargaining table, which is why the Minister has got the two sides of Canada Post together to try and find a solution that will work. Mr. Speaker, we know small businesses are hurting. Canadians in rural and remote areas are hurting. We will continue to look to help them, and we get this resolved the right way.
He's weak. He has lost control of spending. He has lost control of the debt and of inflation, which means that workers need to fight for a pay rise. And last year, we saw the highest number of strikes since 1981, which was when his father broke the economy. And strike at Canada Post,
like father, like son,
which is hurting our economy, small businesses, nonprofits. When will the Prime Minister get both sides of the table to put an end to the strike? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party's hostility to workers, towards unions, is well documented. I don't need to say anything more about it. But what we will do...
Sucks that was in French, but it's still a pretty good singer.
...are brought to the negotiation table, and that's why we encourage all parties to continue to negotiate, because we know everyone is struggling. Non-profits are struggling. Canadians in remote and rural areas are struggling. They depend on Canada Post, and that is why we need solutions, and we are working on that. Mr. Speaker, last week was the 35th anniversary of the École Polytechnique massacre. Quebecers and Canadians from throughout the country mourned the 14 women who were murdered due to a sadistic act of gender-based violence. Over the last few years, there have also been horrendous tragedies due to mass shootings in places like Port-au-Pic, Truro, and Quebec City. Can the Prime Minister tell us about the government's measures to protect Canadians from gun violence? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Saint-Laurent for her question and her hard work. Unlike the Leader of the Conservatives, we will always prioritize the safety of Canadians, not the gun lobby. Thanks to our gun buyback program, we will be removing assault-style weapons from our communities.
There's no such thing as assault-style weapons in Canada that you can legally purchase.
Violence against women. We will take action on things like red flag laws and other measures against gender-based violence. We will always stand up to defend women and fight domestic violence, whereas the Conservatives stand for more weapons.
Police have to say about that after a 116% increase in gun crime under this Prime Minister, and a repeat violent offender out on early parole allegedly murdered a 34-year-old woman in Toronto on Sunday. The Toronto police had this question, and I quote, "For the Prime Minister, how was this person, with their history, allowed to access a firearm and be alone with a partner when they were supposedly living in a supervised community setting? What answers are you providing to the victim's family or our communities who continue to see the heartbreaking results of your weak policies on crime?" End quote.
Wow. Put some W's down.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, despite Conservative opposition, we continue to move forward on bringing in red flag laws and yellow flag laws to make sure that people who are charged with domestic violence don't have access to firearms. Conservatives stood against that and fought against that every step of the way. Just like they're working hard to make legal again assault-style weapons that we rendered illegal in this country 4 years ago. They want to unfreeze the handgun bans, and last time they were in office, they cut 1,100 workers from CBSA to help, who were there to prevent illegal guns flowing in from the United States.
You can't buy assault-style weapons in Canada.
He has not banned a single gun. He's spent over $60 million to fail to take a single gun off the road. He's had to give it an amnesty to reverse all of the announced gun bans that he did, standing in front of a cartoon image of a scary Hollywood-style gun. And what has been the sum total of all of this? A 116% increase in gun violence since he became Prime Minister. When will he realize that banning Grandpa Joe's hunting rifle is not going to stop crime?
Yeah.
That instead, we actually have to lock up the criminals.
Wow, who would have thought that? Let's show some support for our boy, the next Prime Minister of Canada.
Right Honourable
Pierre Poilievre, huh?
Instead of trying to scare Grandpa Joe, he should be honest with Grandpa Joe in that we have banned assault-style weapons, and already we've seen thousands of assault-style weapons collected and destroyed. These are things that we are doing that the Conservative Party and its funders, the gun lobby, continue to stand against. They will re-legalize assault-style weapons in this country, unfreeze the market on handguns. That's what they promised the gun lobby, and they hide behind Grandpa Joe because they can't admit it out loud.
Making stuff up. Dude, there are no assault-style weapons in Canada. You can't legally purchase that. That literally doesn't make any sense.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he admitted he doesn't even know what an assault rifle is, let alone able to ban one. He spent $60 million, and his government admits they didn't take a single firearm off the road. There's been a 116% increase in gun violence under his leadership, and 99% of the shipping containers that come in are not inspected at all, even though the previous Conservative government increased the number of frontline border officers. Why is it that the Prime Minister is so busy trying to protect turkeys from hunters that he doesn't protect Canadians from criminals?
There you go. It's about time, man. I'm glad Pierre's doubling down on this. For real, this is so important. If they're so battle ready, the guns, why is Ukraine not taking them?
The Right Honourable
Canada said they would send them to Ukraine. They don't want them.
Not only has this House defined what an assault-style weapon is in law, the RCMP are now acting on that classification.
They're going to change. They're going to fucking change what the definition of assault-style weapon is.
I'm certain all members can exercise
Are you kidding me?
restraint here. I'm inviting all members, please, to do so. The Right Honourable Prime Minister from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, not only has this House defined what an assault-style weapon was over the objections of Conservatives, but we are now removing those guns and destroying those guns while we compensate those who lawfully purchased them. That is what responsible gun control looks like. Unfortunately, the leader of the Conservative Party has promised the gun lobby that he will re-legalize assault-style weapons, reopen the frozen market for handguns, and make things more dangerous for Canadians and particularly for women right across the country. Shame on him!
You're fucking lying! Suck 1,000 dicks, Trudeau! It doesn't make any sense. You can't buy. There are no assault-style weapons in Canada.
Order.
You're making shit up.
The Honourable Member.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians have been through a lot in the last few years, and they're looking at all levels of government for relief and support. That's something I hear at the doors in Halifax West, and it's the call that I bring every day to Ottawa when I represent my constituents. Unlike the Conservatives who've been forbidden to advocate for their communities. Can the Prime Minister give an update on what this Liberal government is doing to make life better for Canadians?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Halifax West for her advocacy and her hard work. There was good news this morning, Mr. Speaker. The Bank of Canada has cut its interest rate
That's
by
not
another
good news.
50 points. And today, we announced that 3 million Canadians have been approved for dental care, with more than 1.2 million Canadians, mostly seniors, already having received care. But the good news doesn't stop there. On Saturday, a tax break will go into effect for all Canadians, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives voted against it, but it's real. Canadians are going into Christmas and the holiday season with lower interest rates, lower taxes, and more money in their pockets.
The Honourable Member for Courtenay Alberni.
Mr. Speaker, forest biomass energy production has the potential to provide Canadian electrical grids with a sustainable source of energy. This will also create high-paying jobs for rural communities like the paper mill in Port Alberni. The U.S. Inflation Reduction Act includes tax incentives for biomass, putting Canada's forest sector at a competitive disadvantage. The Liberals promised a clean technology and electricity investment tax credit in 2023, but failed to deliver. Will the Prime Minister finally commit to the timely passage of these tax incentives to help protect Canadian jobs in the forest sector?
I don't care about Canadian jobs, chump.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, biomass is an important part of the solution as we move forward in
Biomass. That guy has a lot of
more
biomass.
reliant on renewable energy and understanding how important our forestry industry is, not just for creating good jobs and goods to export and build homes with, but also contributing to our energy opportunities and challenges. We will continue to stand up for innovation in our energy industry. We will continue to stand up for energy workers right across the country in all industries as we work to decarbonize, as we work to invest and innovate, and as we create a better future for all Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Monday we'll find out the extent of Canada's deficit. The Greens offer some solutions. Offset deficits by taxing with the excess profits of big oil, big banks, and tax the billionaire class. Why will this government not make them pay their fair share?
Let's go.
The Green Party. Let's go.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, following the pandemic, we actually brought in an excess profit tax on big banks and insurance companies that were very profitable through a very difficult time for Canadians, and those measures continue. We will always look at making sure everyone pays their fair share, and in regards to oil and gas companies that are creating incredible profits by selling oil and gas to Canadians, we're actually making sure that there is a limit to how much they can pollute, because no industry should have unlimited pollution. They can continue to produce, but they need to reduce their emissions. They need to invest in new ways of supporting their workers and supporting our future.